of founding, working as members of staff, leading staff, and also contributors, because there were loads and loads of people who, though were not members of staff, they actually were members of the LTV family. Congratulations to all of us.
Glad to have you back. If you're just joining us, you're watching The Conversation right here on Lagos Television. Now, this conversation we're about to have is something very significant, most especially for those who want to explore, or better still, understand the relationship between the UK and Nigeria. Now, this dates back to perhaps the pre-independence and of course post-independence as well as the agitations about how do we cement the relationship between the UK and Nigeria. Of course, we've had so many perhaps ups and downs, but of course we find a way to smoothen things out. And this conversation today is trying to situate, or better still, cement the relationship between Nigerians and of course the UK. Well, it's all about the UK visas, what Nigerians need to know. And we have someone in the studio who can speak expressly to that particular conversation. It's a pleasure to welcome on the conversation the Deputy Head, British High Commission, Lagos, Simon Field. It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning.
Thank you very much, Joshua. It's a pleasure to be here. Well saying of my name and title. There's too many deputies in my title, so well done. It's a bit of a tongue twister for this time of the
You're welcome. And I must ask you, you've been in Lagos or in Nigeria for almost 2 years?
No, enough, a year, since October last year.
So what was the most important part of your stay so far? Is it the fact that you've explored all the swimming pools you can find because you love to swim, or the cuisine, or the sports in Lagos? Which one is it?
Wow, you really have read my back brief, haven't you? You're right, I do love to swim, and I really do love to swim outside in something in the UK we call lidos.
Okay.
And we have lots of beautiful lidos in the UK. So it's to my great shame I haven't really done that much swimming here in Lagos. I haven't quite gone into your lidos, because I know there's one in the J. Randall Centre, and I haven't quite got there yet, and I haven't quite managed to make it there.
It's beautiful.
The centre itself is beautiful, but I just haven't gone for the swim. So I've mostly been swimming back in our embassy. So that's a shame. But actually, the most interesting thing I think I've done here in Lagos, to be completely honest, is the driving, which is a completely different world to driving in the UK. And I both love and hate it.
I think I can guess what it is, because we drive left hand and you drive right hand. I think that's it.
No, it's the complete lack of rules. I just love being able to have that freedom of the road. Actually, I love driving, don't so much like parking in Lagos. That's my only...
Okay, don't worry, we're getting there very soon. We've got so many authorities addressing all those, but of course we're always in a hurry. Having said that, the first question I need to ask you, especially about this visa thing, is can we have an overview of visa services offered by the British High Commission to here in Lagos?
Of course, and one of the great things about the visa services here out in Lagos and across the whole of Nigeria is that we offer so many different kind of potential packages. So there's 3 broad types of visa that you can apply for. There is a visit visa, so if you just want to come to the UK just to come see the beautiful scenery of the UK, if you want to travel for Christmas, you can travel on something called a visitor visa. And you can apply up to 3 months in advance. So if you wanted to come for Christmas, for example, you could have applied in September and it would have still been valid. So it takes the stress out. So that's the first. There's something called a visitor visa. And then there's something called a work visa. So if you want to come to the UK, work, get a job, you have to have a separate visa for that, and we offer a work visa. And then we also offer something called a study visa. So if you want to come to the UK, study in one of our wonderful universities across the UK, you have to apply for a study visa. And then we offer multiple different ways that you can apply. So increasingly the work visas and the study visas, they've moved on to something called e-visa. And that means that you don't even have to hand in your passport anymore. You can keep your passport and just kind of do all your kind of biometrics all kind of online. You still have to come in and do your biometrics with an e-visa. So you have to travel to one of our visa centres, which are owned by VFS. And we have those across Nigeria, not just here in Lagos.
Okay.
So we have 2 of them in Lagos. We have one here on the mainland, which is actually Africa's largest visa centre. And then we have one on the island. But then we also have them in Abuja, we have them in Port Harcourt, Enugu, Kanu, Ibadan has recently opened. So they're across the whole of Nigeria for people to be able to apply.
Let me tell you, when we talk about visa, especially the UK visa, you know, Nigerians love to go to the UK.
And we love having Nigerians in the UK.
However, there has been this decline. The data shows there has been a decline in Nigerians applying for, because there seems to be this fluidity with the visa application procedures, and you have it back and forth. Today it's one thing, the other day is another thing. So what's the trend you've observed?
Well, so first of all, I think that's a bit of a misnomer. So there's still so many people travelling between Nigeria and the UK. You are one of our largest diaspora groups in the UK. There's lots of Nigerians that currently live in the UK, and there's lots, as you opened, people-to-people links. There's so many different cultural links between us and Nigeria. In the UK, we love having Nigerians. You bring so much colour, so much vibrancy. You spice up our food. You spice up our kind of music with your Afro beats. And one of my big missions is to try and encourage some of those people-to-people links. So visas themselves are really robust. So there's 105,000 applications for just visit visas last year, which is actually an 8% increase year on year. In terms of our study visas, they still remain strong. There's still around about 29,000 study visas, 13,000 work visas. So the actual numbers themselves are really strong. And I think that really speaks to the fact that there are so many people-to-people links between Nigeria and the UK. And so many kind of ways that people would like to travel and hope to travel to the UK. And that is reflected in our still strong, robust numbers in terms of visas.
Well, what are the key requirements you need to apply for a visa?
So there's a couple of things. So first of all, I'd like to just address one myth. So actually visas the decision on visas are actually taken independently. So they're independent from my office, which is called the Foreign and Development Commonwealth Office. And they're actually done by an agency called UKVI, UK Visa and Immigration. And they have to be able to make independent decisions on all applications. And so I know a lot of people come to me as the FCDO and say, why, Simon Field, Deputy Head of Mission, why have you not given me a visa? And I promise you, I have no influence in being able to grant a visa. All of the decisions are taken separately in the UK by UKVI, and that is really important in our system. You have to have an independent way of doing it. So in terms of what UKVI will look for when they assess a visa, there's a couple of things. So the big thing they are looking for is that as a Nigerian travelling to the UK, you will be returning to Nigeria. And there's a couple of ways that they will look for that. So the first is they will want to be able to see a valid travel insurance document, in other words, a Nigerian passport, because that's the only way that you're going to get back into Nigeria. And the second of all, they'll look to make sure that you have enough money, enough funds to be able to cover your stay in the UK. Now, one big myth is that you have to be a multimillionaire to be able to travel to the UK. You really don't. All you need to show is that you have enough money to be able to cover your stay. And I think one thing that we see, and one of the big errors that a lot of people do when they apply for a visa, is they suddenly get worried that they haven't got enough money. And they will either put a load of money into an account the night before, and that looks really suspicious to a visa officer, right? Because where did they suddenly get all this money from? So that's a big red flag. Or the other red flag is people will make up a bank statement, or they'll use some Tipex. Instead of 25, it'll suddenly become 20 million. And that's really dangerous. Our visa officers see enough bank statements. They see over 235 a day to know what a real bank statement and a false bank statement looks like. So please don't lie. Please be honest on your bank on your kind of documentation that you provide is our tip. And linked to that, actually, if you have been denied for a visa, please just be honest. I think people often get scared that if they've been previously denied for a visa, they will not declare it at that stage of the application. And that's really bad. That's actually a form of fraud. Just be honest with us that you have been denied. We understand that people's circumstances change. We understand that people move on. So it's not a bar from necessarily getting a visa. My other top tip, if I can, is do not use an agent. I think it's really tempting that people will think, applying for a visa is really scary, it's really complicated. It's really not. You can get all the information you require from gov.uk. And all of the information that you require for your documentation that you need to send in, all of the kind of things that you need to provide are all provided for on that website. And I will link it in my Instagram at the end of this account, Simon_Field_FCDO. I expect hundreds of questions now around visas, which I'm happy to accept. But if you go on that website, you can apply for it yourself. Do not use an agent. It's really likely that they're going to lie to you or they're going to falsely represent you. And in the worst case scenario, that's a type of fraud and it will lead to your visa being denied.
Okay, over there in the studio, I've got my colleagues, Bingpe and Joy. I'm sure they've got some questions as well.
Hello. Yes, a big concern for many Nigerians is the visa fees and why they keep, increasing. In the last 1 year, we've had an increase twice. What is the cause of this?
So all visa fees are set centrally. They're not necessarily set by the UKVI. They're set centrally in the UK. And actually, they represent a value for money. If you think about all of the applications, all of those are assessed individually, and they're all assessed outside of the UK by UKVI. Okay. Now, there's different services that you can potentially travel for. So a standard visa will have a decision within 3 weeks, and that comes with a certain price. And you can also apply if you're really desperate to travel for a priority and a super priority visa. And they are more expensive, but they're more expensive because they have to be done quicker, and therefore there's lots more kind of decision making that has to happen behind that. And so you're effectively paying for a quicker decision. My one point on that is, don't be tempted to think that you need to apply for a priority or a super priority to get a better answer. All you are doing is paying for a quicker answer. So that's no guarantee that answer is going to be yes. You can't pay your way to a yes decision, I'm afraid.
All right, let's talk about the express service. Why does the Commission charge individually when it has to do with family application?
Well, that's because, as we were mentioning before, all of those applications have to be assessed independently. So when you apply for a decision, that information gets sent back to the UK, and all of those have to be assessed individually. And that's why we have to have an independent fee for each individual person.
Even though you are a family?
Well, even with a family, I'm afraid, people have different circumstances. You may have a member of the family that has travelled back and forth to the UK a lot, and therefore has a history with us. Or you might have someone that's applying for the first time and so doesn't necessarily have that history. And so all of those kind of cases need to be applied for individually. And equally, you might have someone that is kind of travelling around, so they've built that history, and that's ultimately why.
So I would like to know the politics behind why, despite the relationship and a huge number of Nigerians in the UK, and over the years, we've had so many good people, some even given the highest honor of OBE, and Nigerians doing really well. Our footballers are doing well. It's still difficult when you apply to go to the UK, just to go sightsee and come back to Nigeria. Why is it difficult? I remember in 2008, I applied to just go on just work to Manchester. The visa was my passport was just lying there for almost a month, no explanation, and I needed to go back again because I was going for a training, and I had to go withdraw the passport. Why is it that difficult to just get? It's just a visa. It's just 5 hours or less hours away from here.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your experience, Joshua, and thank you for. I hope you managed to make it to Manchester, which is where I'm from.
No, I didn't. I didn't, by the way.
Well, that's a shame because Manchester is beautiful. Once you get over the kind of drizzle, it's.
I would have loved to go to Manchester. I'm a Chelsea fan, so I went to Chelsea eventually.
What has that got to do with it?
Well, there
I
you
went
go.
to London. Yes.
Okay. Well, London's very beautiful as well. But do try and get out to Manchester when you get a visa, because it's where I'm from. It's beautiful. Just ignore the drizzle.
And it rains a lot.
Drizzle. I would say Manchester is more drizzle rather
It's
than
more
rain.
of rain. They call it Manchester.
Take a waterproof. It is a little bit rainy. So in terms of why it's so difficult, look, I would say it's not that difficult. If you apply online by yourself, all the information, as I said, is on gov.uk. There's no need to use an agent. Follow the processes through. Don't be tempted to kind of use an agent. Often they are going to lie and be fraudulent. And in fact, one of the big campaigns that we are launching next week is an anti-fraud campaign. And that's going to be able to give more information about what to look out for when you apply. And our big message is apply yourself. Agents will often lead to false information because they don't know you as well as you. They'll put in fraudulent documents. They'll hold up the kind of process. And things to look out for, by the way, if you are looking for an agent, is A, people making false promises. No one can guarantee you a decision. Often we see sales pitches of agents saying they'll guarantee you a decision in a very quick time. It's a myth. No one can guarantee you that. They'll promise to make up documents for you. Don't do that. That's fraud. That might lead to you having a travel ban, a visa ban in the UK. It'll certainly lead, if we discover, to an immediate visa ban. And finally, people kind of promising to email if you're not from VFS, which is our only supplier. So it's not hard. All of the information now is online, and it's available to be able to go and online. And if you do have an issue with UKVI, if you do think that they have misrepresented you or they've come to the wrong decision, they have a very solid complaints procedure. So please do complain.
You can appeal.
You can complain. So if you complain, A, it'll make it better for the whole of Nigeria, because they will say, well, look, this has happened, and they'll improve their service. They take complaints seriously. But they may also relook at your concern. No guarantees, but they may look.
Okay.
So I have a question, and this has been a trend in Nigeria. We have an increase in demand for student visas, and I heard it's because after that they can still stay back and work for about 2 to 3 years. But lately, I've been hearing otherwise, that look, once you're done with your studies, you have to come back to Nigeria. So how is the British High Commission dealing with this increase in student visa application?
So our student visa applications are still really strong. Like I said, somewhere in the region of 29,000 visas have been issued. And actually the success rate on visas is really high. Around about 95% of all student visas are actually approved. You have to give us enough time. There's often a crunch for student visas towards the end of the period.
The summer.
I'm not making an assumption. I was once a student, and I wasn't always the most organised student. But please be organised. Apply in good time. Don't leave it to the last minute. But if you do apply, there's a really very strong chance that you will succeed. And UK universities are wonderful. Come learn with us. Come apply for the Achieving Scholarship, which is closed for the summer, but it'll be reopened next summer. That's a scholarship where you can apply to the UK to do your masters free of charge for a year. It's a really well-regarded scheme.
And can you still bring your dependents?
Say again, sorry?
Can you still bring in your dependents?
So you cannot bring in your dependents
anymore,
unless you are applying for a PhD. So if you're applying for a PhD, you are still able to kind of bring your dependents. To answer your direct question around how long you can stay, that has been a policy change. So you can now only effectively stay for 18 months after you have ended your studies in the hopes that you can potentially find a job before you are asked to potentially move, if you don't find a job in that time, and transfer your visa into a work visa.
Those were the incentives that has enabled Nigerians to apply. I mean, when you know that you can bring your dependent, you can bring your spouse, and of course and your kids as well, and all of a sudden the incentive to go to the UK to study or to work has been removed.
Well, I would argue against that slightly. I think the kind of incentive to go to the UK and study is because of the high quality and excellence of UK universities, and those kind of connections between the UK and Nigeria that we have spoken about. So there are so many kind of great connections. There's so many shared cultures between the UK and Nigeria, and our excellent universities all offer this amazing package for you to be able to come and study. And it's not just the classic, please don't just think you have to go study in London or Oxford, Cambridge. There's so many wonderful universities around the UK.
You can go to Scotland.
You can go to Scotland, go to Edinburgh, go to Glasgow, go to Bath, the home of Jane Austen, which has an amazing university. Go down to Sussex in Brighton, see the seaside and our pebbles. Go to Liverpool, learn the kind of culture, learn the music. There's so many wonderful universities offering so many different kind of wide degrees. And then learn in the UK, share your cultural experiences, and then come back to Nigeria and promote your kind of shared expertise.
Let's talk about the culture a little bit more before I bring you back to Lagos as per your culture experience. Well, let's talk about culture exchange. What are you doing about tourism to have people understand the culture better between the UK and Nigeria? What's happening with that? Is there any culture exchange for Nigerians, or is there a way to entrench or encourage tourism here in Nigeria?
Absolutely. So we have signed with the Nigerian government a new strategic partnership framework, which has a number of different pillars. Down here in Lagos, we're really focused on promoting trade and growth, joint growth. So reframing our development relationship away from providing kind of aid and looking more to promoting growth prosperity, joint prosperity, which suits both the UK and Nigeria. And we're doing that in two ways, really. So first of all, we're massively increasing our enhanced trade and investment partnerships, which is an arrangement that we have with the Nigerian government, which is opening dialogue to remove some of the kind of key trade barriers. So I'm a trade specialist by background. So some of the kind of non-tariff barriers, some of the kind of restrictions that it makes it hard to trade, that arrangement is looking to create dialogue to remove some of those barriers. And that includes in some of the creative spaces, some of the kind of wider spaces of culture and links. And so the enhanced trade partnership is really driving that forward. But we're not just providing just a talking shop. We've also signed there's also a trade arrangement in the UK, which effectively means all of Nigerian goods, well, 95% of Nigerian goods can enter into the UK tariff-free. And so we're really looking to kind of promote some of our kind of joint prosperity activities. In terms of some of our kind of cultural links, we have so many opportunities. So the British Council is out here in Nigeria, and they're kind of promoting some of their English language links. Beyond just that, we have an amazing campaign that you've probably all seen called Jollof and Tea, which is one of our kind of amazing campaigns. You may have seen our telephone boxes dotted around here in Lagos. Do try and find them all. There's one at the domestic terminal. Have a selfie in front of it. There's one, I think, still down at Echo Life. Go try and find them. They're out there. And all of those are trying to build some of our cultural people-to-people links to try and encourage some of the trade. And as I said, in terms of some of our kind of tourist links, please do come into the UK. We really love having Nigerians in the UK. But please, don't just think you just have to go to London. Explore the UK. Go up to Edinburgh and Glasgow in Scotland. Come down via the east coast, via York, one of the oldest cities in the world, which has Vikings and Roman ruins. Or go the other way and go down to Manchester. Go to the Drizzle. Go listen to Oasis. Or go to Liverpool and find Penny Lane, which is where the Beatles used to hang out. Or go the other way. Go down to Cornwall, which is where my boss Johnny Baxter is from. Go down to Cornwall, see the beautiful beaches. Go via Bath. It's Jane Austen's 250th anniversary this year, so go see where she used to write from. It's all very beautiful. You don't just have to stay in London.
Coincidentally, you didn't mention anything about Shakespeare.
Well, Shakespeare's beautiful.
That you love to.
I do love Shakespeare. I love to read. So if you want to go Shakespeare, I recommend going to somewhere called Stratford-upon-Avon, which is the home of the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company. It's surprisingly near Birmingham, and there's lots of Nigerian diaspora in Birmingham. And it's just outside. It's a very easy train journey away. It's beautiful. It has a river, a canal. You can watch Shakespeare. Sometimes Shakespeare takes a little bit of getting into with the hearing. It's all in ye olde English, but I promise you, within 5 minutes, you'll understand what's going on and be laughing along.
Okay, having spoken extensively about where to explore in the UK, where have you been to in Lagos, or better still, in Nigeria, that has stimulated your quest to understanding more what is happening here, the culture? Because Nigeria is diverse, and I mean, you've got a huge number of people with different cultures to explore.
I mean, you're really right. Lagos is a bit like London, right? It's like a melting pot of kind of different cultures and different experiences. But that's not to say you shouldn't get outside of London, like I shouldn't get outside of Lagos, and so I have. So one of my great slight joys is similar to in the UK where you can take a train. It turns out you can take a train here in Lagos, right?
True.
And I've been all the way up to Ibadan and all the way back down on the train line. So I really liked going out to Ibadan. That was beautiful. I actually went outside of Ibadan. I climbed up to a sacred lake, which was really beautiful. So I got out and about. I went to the IITA in Ibadan, saw the kind of rainforest.
Yes. Yeah.
Saw the beauty of the greenery of Ibadan. Saw how massive Ibadan is with the brown roofs, which was stunning to see.
I was wondering. I was about to ask you, have you seen the brown roofs?
I have, and I saw how far they went on until the eye can see. And then I've been to Abeokuta and climbed the kind of rocks. I've been out and about. I really do.
Did you grab amala to eat in Ibadan?
What's your favorite cuisine?
Amala. Did you eat it?
What's my favourite cuisine? So there's too many. So I genuinely love trying to make Nigerian food to mix successes.
Okay.
So I've started off with your classic jollof. If I'm honest,
How did that affect your palate, though?
how does it affect my?
spicy, yeah.
Oh well, that's a myth. There's a big myth that like British people don't like spicy food.
Yeah.
That's an absolute
That's
myth.
so true.
Our food isn't bland. Our food is spicy. It's been spicy for
I love the
decades.
bland part.
Well, look, I mean, I think that's a myth, right? I think everybody thinks UK food, it's all fish and chips, and we love a fish and chip. But actually, our national dish is like a curry. It's spicy food.
It's spicy.
But yeah, no. So I loved making jollof. If I'm honest, I'm better at making jollof spaghetti than I am at making jollof rice. There's something about getting the spice into the rice which I haven't quite mastered. I really wish I could master it.
Why? Is it not just
We're in the UK together, and we had lots of, she and I, we've had a lot of chips and chicken.
Chips and chicken.
Yes, we were just tired one day. We had to go somewhere or order something.
Yeah.
But
We had to
that's
go to
another story
Italian
for another
restaurant,
day.
yeah.
But I think this is where we anchor it. But I'd like to know, what will you say will be the most gratifying time of your stay in Nigeria as the Deputy High Commissioner? What will you say will that be?
Joshua? Sorry,
Okay.
Elizabeth just told me something that he also makes egusi soup.
I do make a goosey soup. Although
How did you make egusi? How did you make
You can
egusi?
follow me. You can follow all of my recipes on my Instagram,
goodness.
which is Simon_Field_FCDO, and you can see all of my mixed attempts at making a goosey soup. I showed your Oga my goosey soup, and he looked horribly disappointed in me. So
How did you make it?
multiple disappointing comments at my goosey soup. But actually, I was trying to follow a recipe by London's first Nigerian Michelin-starred chef.
Okay.
And it turns out getting a Michelin star is much harder than it looks, because my attempt at following her recipe was an absolute disaster.
But I mean, you need to meet someone local to help you through, as against watching YouTube or video.
Well, that's true. That's what actually. She was on Saturday Kitchen, which is a really famous program in the UK. And so I was trying to follow her recipe, but not to.
That hasn't worked so far.
It hasn't worked so far. But some of my other recipes have had success. I think I'm almost there with my jollof.
Almost there.
Yeah, almost there.
I mean, never say you're quite there in case somebody challenges you.
Yeah.
Okay, coincidentally, we didn't talk about trade because you're a specialist in that field as well. But I'd just like to know, even as we wind down this conversation, as to what will you say will be the most gratifying time of your stay here in Nigeria? Would you say is the fact that you've encouraged the movement, trade between the two countries, or you've been able to cement, now that we don't do a lot of aids and donors in Nigeria or in the world again, thanks to Donald Trump and his new diplomatic approach to things, will you say it is more partnership for growth and something more sustainable? What would you say it would be?
Well, I think it's, I mean, in terms of what has been one of my proudest achievements since being here since a year, it probably has to be the Foreign Secretary coming over this time last year. It was his first trip to Africa, and the first place he came to is Lagos. And then having the Mayor of London coming to Lagos, having all of these really important people coming to Nigeria, coming to Lagos, really does show just how much the UK is putting into our future prosperity relationship. And you're right, all of that is based on being able to reframe this relationship with our enhanced trade partnership arrangement and removing some of the kind of trade barriers which exist and reframing our joint relationship into a much more joint growth, joint prosperity kind of relationship, which is something that I'm really proud of. And the way in which we're doing that is by creating these people-to-people links.
Oh, thank you very much. Bingpe Joy, do you have any final questions, final thoughts?
I just want a final word for him to reassure Nigerians or Lagosians about the visa application. You know, he mentioned some do's and don'ts. I just want him to wrap it up, you know, in just about 2-3 seconds, you know, what to do to get their visas.
What to do? So what to do is go to gov.uk, gov.uk, and find all the information that you need to be able to apply.
Okay.
Don't use an agent, because they are more than likely going to take you as a fraud. Don't be tempted to lie on your application. So don't use false documentation. Be as truthful in that documentation. It's the only way that you're going to be able to succeed. And don't be tempted to think that you have to be a multimillionaire to come to the UK. Just be honest with your bank statements. Go to gov.uk, do the application yourself. Don't use an agent.
All right. I also want to know what the High Commission is also doing to curb the activities of those racketeering and those fake agents, because even as you have just said it, people will still fall victim. So what are you doing as a commission to curb the activities?
So we're doing a lot. So we're going to be launching our Visa Fraud Awareness Week next week, which is going to give you a lot more tools to be able to identify when those people are being fraudulent, and that'll be a massive social media campaign. But the broad rules are fun to look for if you think someone is giving you a fraudulent promises. It's that they are offering you visas which are, you know, a guaranteed visa decision. That cannot be done. Even I can't do that. They will offer to potentially make you false documents. Don't do that. That's visa fraud. It can lead to a visa ban or up to 14 years in prison for you, because you're the person that ultimately has committed fraud, even if you've used an agent. And finally, their emails won't come from a gov.uk or a VFS email account. They're the only people that we use. So be aware, be safe. We work really closely in Nigeria to try and work with some of your agencies. We have a very strong relationship to remove some of those fraudulent agents, but they're still out there. So please be aware that they're out there and do protect yourselves.
Thank you. I'd like to hang it here. I want to say very much thank you for joining us on the conversation today. Hopefully we've gotten the message as to what to do if we need to go to the UK. And in fact, how far with people coming over to explore? Are you bringing people in? Has the number increased?
Has the number increased in terms of Nigeria?
UK residents coming to Nigeria to explore?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I'm not completely sure. I hope so. There's a lot of kind of joint nationals which come over. So Nigerians.
They will come this December, for Dirty December.
And I know that there'll definitely be a lot of dual nationals coming over for Dirty December.
Dirty December, yeah.
Personally, my partner's coming over for Dirty December, so she's really looking forward to it.
Oh, looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get to meet somewhere in one of the raves anyway. Thank you very much, Simon Field, Deputy Head, British High Commission Lagos, for joining us on the show today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And that's about it for understanding what you need to do if you need to go to the UK. Avoid agents. You can do it yourself. And of course, it is very simple. Don't doctor the numbers with your application. Well, we'll take a very short break. The conversation continues after this. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.